Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Transportation Infrastructure and Planning Subcommittee to order. I will ask our city attorney to explain public comment.
Good morning. Members of the public may speak for up to 2 minutes to comment on agenda items to be discussed. Comments must be related to the agenda item and the action being considered by the subcommittee. General comments that go beyond the scope of the agenda item must be made in the call to the public session at the end of the agenda. The City Council and staff cannot discuss or comment on matters related to pending investigations, claims, or litigation. Additionally, any member of the public who appears before the subcommittee in their capacity as a lobbyist must, as required by Phoenix City Code, disclose this fact before addressing the subcommittee. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will, our interpreter for today, or downstairs?
Chair.
Yes.
Hello, good morning. My name is Elsie Duarte, and I will be servicing as Spanish interpreter for today's Transportation Infrastructure and Planning Subcommittee session. I will now take a moment to introduce myself to our Spanish-speaking audience and review some guidelines. Buenos días, bienvenidos a la sesión de la Subcomisión de Transportación, Infraestructura y Planificación. Mi nombre es Elsie Duarte y estaré sirviéndoles como intérprete a nuestra audiencia de habla hispana. Deseamos pedirles antemano, si va a dar un comentario público, por favor hable despacio y con claridad para evitar y también evite distracciones de fondo. Finalmente, después de cada pausa, haga una pausa después de cada una o dos oraciones para poder interpretar lo que esté diciendo de la manera más completa posible. Gracias. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. I'm observing our new technology here in the chambers where we have real-time translation. So I'm excited to see that in implementation. I also want to just simply say I'm sitting in for our chair, Councilwoman Deb Starks. She is the epitome of public service. Even in a difficult season such as losing her mom, she is still committed to being here to serve the citizens of Phoenix. And I am just sitting in her stead to help navigate today's meeting. But I also wanted to publicly extend my condolences to Councilwoman Starks on the passing of her mom. Thank you. Thank you. So we will begin with item number 1.
I move to adopt the minutes.
Second.
The motion has been made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to items number 2 and 3 on our consent agenda.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to items number 4 through 7. I'm sorry, through 6, because we have public comment on 7. Any questions or need for clarification?
I would like to move items 4 through 6.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Madam Chair,
Are these
items 4 through 7 are all information only, no
Only.
action.
right?
Okay, thank you. I
Okay,
apologize
so then we
for
don't
that.
need them.
We have speakers on item number 7. I can ask the city attorney to provide I'm winging it here. I'm not as good as Councilwoman Stark, so I apologize. We have 4 speakers on item number 7. I will start with Shinosh Bugata. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly.
Good morning, Councilwoman Deborah Stark. My condolences for your loss. My name is Santosh Bogata. I'm the president of Cricket Association of Phoenix, also trustee member of one of the nonprofit cricket organizations across Arizona. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the city of Phoenix for its crucial support in providing funds as well as grounds for the sport cricket in 2023. This generous backing has made it possible for us not only to organize youth and successful women's tournament, but also It helped us to stand firm against monopoly, bullyism, and also the unfair practices that has been factored across the Arizona in order to suppress the game. Today, I come before you to request your continued commitment to the cricket, specifically with.
I hate to interrupt you, but item number 7 is our public transit department capital improvement program. So I presume you want to talk about number 8 on our parks
Okay,
department.
yeah,
Would you
I'm
like
sorry
to?
I'm sorry about that. I thought it's.
It looks like everyone signed up for 7.
No, there's some 8s too. It seems like there was a little miscommunication. I will allow you to come back up after
No
number.
worries. Sorry about that. Thank
No
you.
worries.
I wonder if they were meant to be here.
Actually, Madam Chair, I apologize for the confusion. Item 7 is the Parks Department Capital Improvement Program.
Not
So
on our sheet.
Not on our sheet.
Yeah,
Our sheet.
yeah. So
I think, yeah, sorry, that sheet looks like it's incorrect. On the agenda, on the actual posted agenda, item 7 is the Parks Department Capital
Okay.
Improvement Program update.
Okay. So again, well, I'm in a learning process here, so I will go ahead and have call our Parks Director to give her presentation on the Parks update, item 7/8, depending on which agenda you're looking at.
7 is the Parks Department Capital Improvement Program, and then 8 is the overall Parks Department update. So 8 is correct. It's on your sheet. It was incorrect.
Time
Yes.
out, because item 7 that we have says Public Transit Department Capital Improvement Program for fiscal year 2025 through 30.
Right. The single sheet that you have is
Is
incorrect.
So,
Can I do this? Can I say that we will take public comment on number 7 and number 8 at the same time? I think it might be helpful if we have the full presentation and then bring the speakers up after we hear the presentation from Parks. Is that fair? Okay, thank you. So I would ask our director, Cynthia Aguilar, to come and do her presentation for us. There's so much has been going on in our parks. In fact, we were out there just yesterday celebrating one of our parks in District 8. So I'll give everybody an opportunity to get situated, and then we will allow them to begin their presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, members of the subcommittee. We are happy to be here today, along with a few of our team members on the Parks Department's leadership team, to provide you with an update on some exciting Parks and Recreation accomplishments from 2024. Here with me today is Assistant Director Marty Whitfield and Deputy Directors Jared Rogers and Danielle Poveromo. Today, we plan to provide you with an overview of the Parks and Recreation boards and committees who help guide us throughout the year, and an update on several accomplishments from 2024, including updates on exciting events and projects, and an update on the master plan process. We will conclude our presentation with information and a short video on some very impactful capital improvement projects that were completed in parks throughout the city last year. Bear with me, I'm trying to advance the slide. Here we go. Okay, there seems to be a delay when I advance. Next slide, please. As you know, we have a large and diverse parks and recreation system here in the city of Phoenix. Currently, we have 187 parks with plans to open 2 new parks in Laveen this year. We also have 33 community centers, 29 swimming pools, 8 municipal golf courses, and 10 mountain preserves with over 36,000 acres and 240 miles of designated mountain trails. We have a phenomenal team of nearly 1,400 employees who do an amazing job every day to help manage and maintain our parks and recreation facilities. And I apologize, the slides are moving without me, I think from when I first clicked. Okay, so if we could go back a couple, right here, thank you. In addition to our amazing team, we are also fortunate to have volunteer-led boards and commissions who were established each with a mission to help establish policies and provide guidance and support to the Parks Department. Next slide. The first of these is the Parks and Recreation Board. Adopted by voters in November of 1971, the city charter requires the Phoenix City Council to create by ordinance a Parks and Recreation Board appointed by the City Council. The charter and Chapter 2 of the Phoenix City Code both outline the authority of the Parks Board. Next slide. Some examples of the board's authority include approving the receipt and acceptance of grants and gifts of property, establishing operating policies for our facilities, authorization to enter into select contracts, establishing a schedule of charges for miscellaneous and recreational facilities, and designating areas in each park and mountain preserve as open or closed to the public. Additionally, the board also has the authority to name parks and recreation facilities. The Parks and Recreation Board meets monthly on the fourth Thursday of the month at 5 p.m. in the City Council chambers. Members of the public are invited to participate in person or virtually. Next slide. We also have the Phoenix Parks and Preserve Initiative, known as 3PI, Oversight Committee, which was established in 1999 and is also comprised of volunteers appointed by the Phoenix City Council. The committee's charge is to ensure the department's 3PI expenditures align with the 3PI sales tax initiative ballot language that was approved by voters. The 3PI sales tax initiative was originally approved in 1999 and again in 2008 with support from more than 80% of Phoenix voters. In place until 2038, the initiative dedicates 1 cent of sales tax for every $10 of purchases to improve and renovate existing parks and improve the city's desert preserve system. This committee meets annually once a year to review results of an independent evaluation of 3PI expenditures that is conducted by a third-party firm. Most recently, the committee met on January 27th and approved the report, which received an A+ rating showing full compliance of 3PI fund expenditure sampled from the fiscal year 2024. Next slide. We are also lucky to have the Phoenix Sonoran Preserve and Mountain Parks Preserve Committee, which was established in 1995 to develop recommendations to the Parks and Recreation Board. Their objective is to protect natural preserves while ensuring safe and accessible public use, expand preserved lands, and foster public appreciation through environmental education. Members of the committee are volunteers appointed, in this case, by the Parks and Recreation Board. Next slide. We also have a wonderful group of volunteers who serve on the Phoenix Parks Foundation. The Phoenix Parks Foundation was established in 1979 to support, enhance, and advocate for parks, preserves, and recreational opportunities to sustain a vibrant community. The foundation is a recognized nonprofit and tax-exempt organization. Since budgetary restraints can limit public agencies, private citizens have joined within the foundation structure to facilitate a working relationship between the public and private sector to help address the financial needs of Phoenix Parks and Preserves. With us in the audience today, I'm pleased to have representatives from the 3PI Oversight Committee, Patricia Duarte, who is our chair. We also have John Furness, who is the president of the Phoenix Sonoran Preserves and Mountain Parks Preserve Committee, and I'd like to just give them a quick round of applause for all the work that they do for us. These dedicated volunteers help shape policies and provide meaningful guidance to the Parks Department. Next slide. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Danielle Poveromo, Deputy Director over our Northeast Parks Division, for an update on some exciting events and projects from last year.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. The 2024 APS Electric Light Parade marked the 37th year with record-breaking participation, including over 400,000 attendees lining the 2.3-mile parade route. This signature city event featured 117 entries ranging from helium balloons, school marching bands, and even some snowmaking to add some magic. In partnership with APS, our title sponsor, the parade continues as a long-standing tradition for families, neighborhood groups, businesses, city departments, as well as our mayor and city council members. This festive celebration fosters a sense of community for all, instilling pride in our beloved city. Beyond the live crowds, the parade reaches even more viewers with broadcast on ABC 15, including their Facebook live stream and replays throughout the month of December. There's also coverage provided by Phoenix Channel 11. Together, these broadcasts garnered over 1 million views. This signature event is led by our recreation coordinator, Bob Berlin, who is already underway for 2025 plans. And I want to recognize Bob. He's in the crowd. He's been a member of the National Event Safety Alliance, and for over the last 2 years has contributed to developing parade safety standards, with Phoenix serving as the benchmark for other cities and organizations that host parades, including Disney and the Macy's Day and Rose Bowl parades. Bob? Thank you. Next slide. They say that good things come to those that wait, and that has certainly been the case with bringing cricket to the city of Phoenix. The idea of creating dedicated cricket fields has been championed by our partners for many years. You may recall hearing about cricket during past city council meetings as well as budget hearings, as cricket players remained focused and advocating for dedicated fields. In fiscal year 2023-24, thanks to the perseverance of cricket players and support of you, our city council members, a major win was achieved, with the city manager allocating funding to design and construct 3 proper cricket fields, 2 at Turtle Rock Basin and 1 at Grover's Basin. Each cricket pitch features a concrete slab with artificial turf, a 420-foot diameter play field, bleachers for spectators, as well as team benches. These new fields provide a proper environment for youth and adults of all skill levels to play and learn the game of cricket. Additionally, the cricket fields have transformed 2 basin parks with 7-day-a-week activation. Following soccer, cricket is the world's second most popular sport, boasting over 2.5 billion fans. Phoenix is tapping into this rapidly growing community of enthusiasts and players and serves as an ideal location, offering the most playable days due to our favorable weather. Upon opening in September of 2024, the fields were reserved for 530 hours, and this spring have been allocated for 2,500 hours for both youth and adult play. In December, the cricket fields hosted a youth tournament with teams coming as far as Colorado and players sharing Phoenix has some of the best cricket offerings. The sport is also growing in new ways, including an all-women's league that recently held a tournament with players from across Phoenix. Many women are new to the city and commented how much they love and appreciate the Phoenix cricket fields. With the return of cricket to the Olympics in 2028 at the LA Games, these new fields may pave the way for future Olympians right here in Phoenix. And with that, I'll turn it over to Deputy Director Jared Rogers.
Thank you, Danielle. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. It's always a pleasure to talk to anybody that wants to listen to me about South Mountain Park and Preserve. I love the place. It's still one of the largest municipal parks in the country, and as one who hiked the 15.5-mile National Trail last weekend, I can attest that it is very big. I'm excited to talk a little bit about some of the improvements we've recently undertaken at South Mountain Park. We'll see if this will advance. Yes, all right, excellent. So we were excited on November 8th, 2024 to celebrate the 100-year anniversary of the City of Phoenix stewardship at South Mountain Park and Preserve. We were pleased to be joined by Mayor Gallego, as well as Councilwoman Hodge Washington, Councilman Carlos Galindo Elvira, and Councilman Robinson, as well as representatives from the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community and the Gila River Indian community, as well as past park rangers, employees, visitors, residents from South Phoenix. It was a really great event to celebrate this wonderful milestone in South Mountain Park's history. We've been busy at South Mountain Park in the past 9 years or so, making improvements to the preserve to the tune of about $22 million in improvements, with more to come. One of those that I'd like to touch on that opened and finished last year was the Gila Valley Lookout. This is high atop South Mountain Park. If you drive up Central Avenue, you can ultimately get to this trailhead, which is right next to the towers. It cost $2 million. It renovated an existing parking lot that previously was an underutilized location with non-standardized parking spaces and no pedestrian amenities whatsoever. The project added 2 shade canopies as well as a perimeter walking loop that is accessible to people of all abilities to enjoy the amazing views from the top of South Mountain Park. As some of the photos showed in the opening or the celebration event on November 8th, we also renovated the South Mountain Visitor Center. One of the key features to that renovation is the large 16-foot by 9-foot three-dimensional projection map that you can see on the right there. This is a system that allows us to not only show graphics that were developed as part of this original push, but in the future be able to continue to update and have more graphics there that help tell the story of South Mountain Park and the growth of the lands around South Mountain Park and their impacts. We also have interactive screens there. The restrooms were renovated and landscape improvements, which included a large courtyard that was placed between the 2 buildings there at the Visitor Center that is a great location for events like our Hike with a Firefighter event that happened just a few weeks ago. Moving forward, we're still working on projects at South Mountain Park. It's a big place with lots of opportunities to make improvements. The South Mountain Activity Complex is it was built in the 1980s. It's a large picnic pavilion. Lots of large events have happened there over the years, including the Climb to Conquer Cancer and other large events. The renovations that are taking place there are helping restore it to more of a natural looking setting. As it was previously, while functional, didn't really say I'm at South Mountain Park. So native landscape, trees, and terrain are going to be brought through the site. And a key feature that I'm really excited about, in the large circle there's a small circle to the right bottom there next to the words activity complex. There's 4 bands or rays of concrete that point out to other mountain peaks in the Phoenix area, or in the city of Phoenix, including Camelback and Piestewa Peak and Shaw Butte and North Mountain and Papago Park. And those rays will help educate people and orient them from South Mountain Park, where the City of Phoenix preserve efforts really began, helps to kind of tie those other parks to South Mountain. And there will also be opportunities there for interpretive signage that helps people understand our indigenous neighbors and native community members, the names that they used historically for those mountains and currently. And with that, I will turn over to Assistant Director Martin Whitfield.
Thank you, Jared. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. It is great to be in the rotation for major sporting events, as you know, here in Phoenix. Last April, the Valley hosted the men's NCAA basketball Final Four. As the host city, we partnered with the NCAA, Degree Deodorant, and Unilever to complete the NCAA Legacy Project at Eastlake Park. The NCAA Legacy Project's goal is to leave a lasting impact on the community, and this project certainly did that. The project included a complete refinish of the indoor basketball court, including adjustable hoops and backboards, a new scoreboard and shot clock, new benches, bleachers, and a new weight room. The outdoor basketball court was also refurbished and outfitted with new backboards and hoops. My favorite part of the project was the mural that paid tribute to the park's rich history of the pioneers of Eastlake community, which was painted by a local artist. As you can see on the slide, Councilwoman Hodge Washington and Mayor Gallego joined Mrs. White there with the rest of our pioneers. And I think I did share with Councilwoman Hodge Washington during the event that Mrs. White's golden rule used to be my late grandfather's dentist office, so good stuff. The Parks and Recreation Department is excited to be completing a system-wide Parks Master Plan process, which is the first one since 1988. This initiative will shape the future of our parks, recreation facilities, programming, and investments for the next 10 years. As a reminder, we presented to this subcommittee in September of 2023 and provided an update in October of 2024. There are 5 focus areas in our master plan, which includes the assessment and inventory of our parks, programs, and facilities, recreation trends, community demographics, and equitable access, There's a water conservation piece, crime prevention through environmental design, and then finally, community and stakeholder outreach was arguably the most important part of the project. With the launch, we also introduced this interactive feedback map, which you'll see on the screen. The new tool allows our community to share comments, suggestions, and feedback about our parks and facilities. Whether you want to highlight something you love or suggest improvements, this tool helps us capture community input tied directly to specific parks or facilities. The insight allows us to effectively target communities that need more engagement, ensuring a more inclusive and representative outcome. Currently, we have about 2,500 responses through this interactive map. Also on the screen, you'll see the bubbles that indicate the number of responses that we've received near our parks. As part of our community engagement efforts, we've been actively promoting and encouraging community members to participate in the park's master plan process. We've attended several community meetings and events, including many of our GAIN events. We presented at block watch meetings and neighborhood association meetings as well. We've also placed voting boards at community centers and events to provide an opportunity for the community to let us know their thoughts about our programs, services, and facilities. And to kick it off, we participated in last year's budget hearings to get the word out about the master plan process. We encourage the community to participate in the Parks Master Plan process by visiting the Parks website, parksmasterplanphx.com. We have many tools available to the community to share their feedback, such as an online survey. We currently have almost 3,000 surveys that we've received. I mentioned the interactive feedback map. There's a 24/7 hotline number that folks can call and leave feedback, and there's also an email address for feedback as well. And all outreach efforts are in English and Spanish. Thanks to the support of the mayor and council, the Parks Department received ARPA funding to launch the Park Activation Neighborhood Grant Program. This program was created to boost community engagement by supporting park events in areas impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. 46 organizations were selected to receive grants, ensuring fair distribution across the city. Those activations began in early February of 2024. The Park Activation Neighborhood Grant Program has transformed local parks into vibrant community hubs, significantly impacting neighborhoods. With support from neighborhood groups and nonprofits, over 200 events have been held or planned across 36 parks, promoting healthier lifestyles and fostering stronger community connections. These events celebrate health, fitness, arts, and culture, reflecting the diversity of the community. A couple examples include the 44th Community Alliance hosted a celebration at Pierce Park featuring music, food trucks, and children's activities. East St. Louis Neighborhood Association hosted Slope Fest, GAIN, and Boards the Barrio events at Sunny Slope Park. I'm very proud of our Parks Development team. Over the last year, our team completed several capital improvement projects across our system, offering many amenities to the community. Our community centers provide space for many extracurricular activities all year round for people of all ages. Over the past year, several of our community centers underwent extensive upgrades, including gym floor resurfacing, restroom remodels, new flooring, LED lighting, and fresh paint. This slide shows some of the improvements in our community centers across our system. Roadrunner Park in Northeast Phoenix was renovated with 2 new restroom facilities, resurfaced tennis courts, sand volleyball, and a new basketball court. We also added new ramadas and redid the parking lot. The project also included new and improved lake perimeter edging, ADA fishing docks, and an increased lake depth, promoting healthier fish habitat. Falcon Park and Momo Park in South Phoenix was renovated with new playgrounds, sports courts, and LED lighting through community development grant funding. On this slide, you will see the ribbon cutting in December with Councilwoman Pastor. On this slide, you will see improvements at Momo Park. One of our crown jewel projects this year was the installation of the Encanto Park Playground, which was installed in May of 2024. The Kiwanis Club partnered with the city to install the first fully ADA accessible playground in our system. The new playground accommodates children with diverse physical, sensory, and cognitive abilities. During previous budget hearings, the community advocated for additional parks in the Levine area. As a result, in March 2024, Harvest Park opened to great anticipation. A large majority of the construction costs were funded through impact fees. The park amenities include a basketball bank shot, pickleball, volleyball, playground, and exercise stations. Our director mentioned this earlier, but we are excited for a couple, I'll keep going. We are excited for a couple upcoming milestones. Farmland Park near 87th Avenue and Lower Buckeye is scheduled to open next month. Levine Heritage Park at 71st Avenue and Meadow Loop is scheduled to open by this summer. These two parks will offer the Levine community additional recreation opportunities. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, that concludes our formal presentation, but we'd like to end the presentation with a highlight video showing some of our accomplishments from this last year.
and partners who've made it all possible.
Say thank you to Cynthia, Danielle, Jared, and Martin for the robust presentation. Also, thank you to the volunteers and employees that support the Parks Department. We see that there is many collaboration that happens between our public and our private partnerships in order to ensure that the over 180 parks that we have here in the city of Phoenix are thriving and are safe places for our residents and our visitors as well. We know that having safe outdoor space is essential for healthier and happier residents, so thank you for all that you do. I know we talked, your video highlighted many of the major events that we've had here in the city of Phoenix and how they tied into parks, but I think it's also important to highlight the impact that it has for the everyday youth and residents here of Phoenix. Like I mentioned yesterday, we were celebrating the reopening of a new basketball court in the area that was sponsored by a private and public partnership. And to see the children's excitement on the new spaces is what really makes this work, I think, is so fulfilling. We are ensuring that the next generation has the opportunity to be active, to be healthy, and to enjoy the wonderful environment that Phoenix brings. I will ask my colleagues, are there any questions that you may have before we open it to public comment? Yes, so I will start with Councilwoman Starks.
It's just more of a comment, and I do take great pride in our Parks Department. Probably the best part of our job is when we do ribbon cuttings at parks and all the families come out. But what is very special about our Parks Department is they really involve everyone. And as we saw a couple years ago through our budget hearings, that there was a public outcry for cricket. And I have learned more about cricket in the last 2 years. I feel like I'm almost becoming an expert. I've even hit a bat and actually hit the ball too. And but you really do try to involve everyone. And what you did at Encanto Park with the accessibility was outstanding. You really care about everyone that resides in Phoenix, as well as all the visitors. So I really thank you for everything you guys do.
Go ahead, Councilman. Sorry.
Mine is not just like Councilwoman Stark. Mine, I don't have any questions, but I do have a lot of praise. And I want to thank our staff for your comprehensive presentation today and for your leadership. Parks are positive and parks do have power. And one of the things that I learned very quickly after my appointment was the ability and the opportunity to have monthly meetings with Parks and Rec staff to fully brief me on the activities and the great projects that they had in mind within District 7, but also citywide, because what happens in District 7 also impacts the rest of the city. And you know, this last year has been a phenomenal opportunity to learn more about the work done by staff, and in particular, the forestry crew. I very much appreciate their dedication and their professionalism in the care that they have for over 110,000 trees throughout the city. And they have taken exceptional care of the trees in D7, making sure that they live and that they thrive. And I got to go out there one day with them and plant trees and learned more about the hows and the whys than I ever imagined. I want to thank the Parks and Rec Foundation because they have partnered with the District 7 office to accept the contributions for our upcoming chilled water stations that will be in the western part of District 7 and hopefully in District 5, partnering with my colleague Betty Guardado and the Parks and Recreation Board. I believe that they work so hard in ensuring both the safety and the preservation of all our parks. And I know this because one of my dear friends, Tony Moya, is a member, and I have witnessed his passion, but more importantly, his stewardship, and collectively of the Parks and Rec Board. So I'm a fan of Parks and Rec. I'm a fan of the work that's done, and I've said it at other council meetings, and I've said it publicly. We may be the 5th largest city in the United States, but we have first-rate staff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Pastor?
Yes, thank you. I do want to highlight, because there were several parks or at least two parks that I can think of right now. Sueño Park had improvements and equipment for kids to be able to play on a playground. Sueño Park is asking for more. They're asking for Fit Phoenix, a trail so that they can exercise and to finish it off with that. We are also looking at the murals to be done on the backside of a wall. Some of it is a school wall, some of it is a private wall, and some of it is a public wall. But to complete that, that would be great. The other piece is Falcon Park is asking for exercise equipment to finish off their improvement and their renovation. But what I do want to say is that Indian Steel, in partnership with Hands on Greater Phoenix and the Home Depot Foundation, over 400 plus volunteers planted 600 trees within that park. And we will be having another event in April to finish off the park. But my point in that is that's what we do when we partner and can improve not only our parks, but also extend our financial pieces to make an impact throughout the park. The last one I want to talk about is really, we're the first city, and I take pride in this, that we are the first city to have ADA accessible playground, and we're the first park. I don't know how many other cities have that. There's not many, but I think we need to take pride in that. And once again, it was a partnership with Kiwanis, who came to me and said, we will partner and we will help raise the money as long as you can help us partner and get it done. And that project did, I want to say it took us 3 years, but we were able to get it done. I am hoping that in the future, and possibly maybe I will have the group put it in the park plan in the survey as to extend it further in other parks. It is costly, but I think it's well worth it. So I do want to thank everybody that makes sure our parks are thriving, make sure there's greenery since we live in a desert, but greenery does change attitudes and behaviors. It does make you, it helps us ground ourselves when we're out in a park, especially our emotional piece, and it provides stability just being around trees, grass, even the noise of kids playing, and just being able to exercise and just take yourself away from the everyday life of really enjoying a park and sitting. We have fabulous and famous, great pieces of art that you can sit and study. Even the vegetation is kind of like a piece of art, and how you plant and where you plant and what you provide, and just the feel of it. And it's just an active place where you feel like you belong. So I want to thank everyone, because it takes a village in order for us to have that type of environment. And I want to be that city that draws people here because of our amenities of the park and our preserves. Our preserves also provide a lot, because I'm sitting myself in Encanto Park right now, but our preserves also provide that, and the preserves also provide that tranquil peace of being able to exercise and climb, and then also be able to look at our city and study our city. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We will now turn to our public comment. We will start off, Sanosh, I apologize, Bugatha, thank you.
All right. Good morning again, Madam Chair and subcommittee members. My name is Santosh Bugata from Cricket Association of Phoenix. Today I came here with all but praise okay, for developing the cricket pitches. It's been a decade journey. I've been living here since 17 years, but 2024 September, we have opened our first City of Phoenix cricket pitches, one of the best in the class. They are in line with international standards, but this is just a start. So I would like to thank each and every one of you guys, including the Parks and Recreation officials, along with Jeff Burton, City Manager, Inger, Danielle, Cynthia, and Bob there. Tony, thanks everyone. However, today I come before you, you to request your continued commitment to the sport cricket, because we have Olympics 2028 in LA. So specifically, we hope to enhance the existing facilities by adding restrooms. With recent Arizona Women's Open, I felt that that is one of the most important factor, when especially the teens and women playing. And at the same time, adequate lighting, which is gonna help, especially in the summer, to activate these parks furthermore. So thank you again for your remarkable support so far. With your help, we can nurture the thriving cricket community in Phoenix that empowers both youth, women, and fosters the fair play. Thanks again.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jerry Van Gass.
Jerry Van Gass, sorry for your loss, Deb. Prior to the meeting, I ran into Deputy City Manager John Chan, who reminded me, he gave me this packet last year with this cover sheet of costs for South Mountain renovation, which in 2017 was appropriated for $23 million. So this is pretty much in line with the cost changes, et cetera, $25 million. That was in April of last year. The very next month, at the Parks Board meeting, we get a listing of projects, items at the parks. There's item on there only seen one time. It's the largest item. And it was just headlined as land. And we went from $27 million to $40 million that was revealed in 1 month. No explanation. And then on July 1st, the council voted at the recommendation of the Parks Board to take another $5.5 million to finish, or to add to South Mountain renovations with no explanation. You know, it's a contract at risk. You're stuck with that money except for some cost changes. You can't come in and take more 3PI money. You continue to do that with no explanation, and you don't think we're looking? We've got attorneys out there right now tracking down the money trail for this mystery house that the city spent $7 million of 3PI money on. We want to know why.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tim Sarakowski.
Good morning, Tim Sarakowski. I would like to hand this out to the council members. This sheet is talking about the authority that the Parks Board have in other cities in the surrounding area. We are doing our own legal analysis of the statute. To date, the statute for the Parks Board, the authority is overbroad. It's overstepped its authority. You cannot give authority away that was designated in your city charter to a Parks Board. You can't do it. Parks Board then, at this point, pretty much should be disbanded, or they should change the rules and regulations of what they're being allowed to vote on. They cannot at any time vote on things which are affecting millions of people in this town. It's illegal by your own city charter, let alone the Constitution of Arizona. So it really needs to be changed at this point. As you note on the handout, I'm showing you that none of these people have power like the power that our Parks Board have here in this town. It's unacceptable. It really is out of control. Secondly, since you brought up 3PI money as a funding source, I'm trying to also figure out if the city charter's funding source for the amount of money that supposedly is to go to the Parks Department is really going to the Parks Department at this point. I don't think it is, but we have our own auditors checking into that at the present time. The charter says this is the amount of money that they're supposed to be getting per year. It's in your charter. Is the Parks Department getting it? I don't think they are. I think it's going to other areas at the present time. I hope that we can come to some reasonable expectations before we have to take this and have the Parks Board's power taken away. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jeannie Ann Sumner.
Good morning. Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee, the 44th Community Alliance appreciates this opportunity to say thank you for the Park Activation Neighborhood Grant. First, thanks to Ms. Reeves. Being new to grants, she helped us understand the process and requirements while we were working through the Alliance's limitations at the time. We successfully activated Pierce Park for an event we called Party in Pierce. The event provided a positive experience for users who had drifted away and to neighbors unfamiliar with the positive aspects of the park. If you ever need help planning and executing an event, contact us. Scott was incredible with both children and adults. We featured a face painter extraordinaire, food trucks, bouncy houses. We even scored the Target's mascot bullseye. 200 plus neighbors played, talked, and ate together. But most of all, everyone enjoyed a positive experience in the park. Party in Pierce gave us enough courage and confidence to hold a game event. Our next event is Coffee with a Cop and Park Ranger in Pierce. After the completion of the neighborhood stations in the old Crosscut Park, we hope to have another neighborhood celebration. We appreciate the grant program and how the Alliance was able to build on that experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is John Furness.
Thank you for the opportunity to address this group. Director Aguilar called me out early on for my position on the 3PI committee and also on the Sonoran Preserve Committee. I've had a chance to sit on interview panels. In fact, participated in interview panels for some of the people that are currently occupying roles here at the front table. Had a chance to participate last year in the ad hoc committee for impact fees. And figure out how to get that set for this next round, as well as the heat safety task force we did several years ago that came up with recommendations. I share that list with you primarily to say, one, I'm a citizen volunteer, but two, in each of those roles, take the responsibility assigned to me very seriously. And as a result of that, get under the covers. I want to understand the processes. I want to understand the controls. Because in case of 3PI, I'm being asked to attest to an audit that's put forward. And so I'm here today to tell you that in the now 13 years that I've been involved in various capacities, my comfort level in the people before you, the processes, the controls, runs very high. There's a sincere effort to do what's right for the citizens of this city. There's a passion for service. There's a commitment to integrity. And with anything this large, plenty of opportunities for people to second guess and challenge. And and that's going to happen. But I'm just here to offer you a different point of view on that and my satisfaction and comfort level in the work that this group is doing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Because we did consolidate items 7 and 8 for public comment, I see that Jerry Van Gass, you were listed a second time. Do you need that time? Okay.
This goes right to the point. It's real pertinent. This fiasco we have going on with the fire department down at South Mountain right now. This meeting's being televised. The council meeting this afternoon is televised. We want Parks Board meetings televised. 10 years ago, Channel 11 told us they've got everything set up here. All they need is the go-ahead. Well, give them the go-ahead, because we're tired of them. They would have never even tried what they're doing at South Mountain, closing the whole park, please. They'd have never tried that if they knew they were being televised. And we got an ex-city manager on that board that knows that would have never happened. So let's get them on board. There's no extra charge. The material, the equipment's all here. Let's use it. And that way we don't have to listen to lies, what they really intended. Thank you.
Thank you. Similarly, Tim, you were registered for item number 8. You can reapproach the podium. Thank you.
I think what Jerry really means is that when we speak at the Parks Board meeting and they do their own interpretation of what they think we mean, and it's written in a different context than what we state, that's at a point that we need to have cameras so that we can go back and we can look and show them exactly what we had stated at a meeting. We don't want these individuals making their own interpretation, and we want the public to truly understand that we have a non-elected group of individuals making decisions for them that they shouldn't be making. It's not going to cost any, if we can pay it out of 3PI money, if we need someone over there. They use it for everything else at this point, so why not use 3PI money so that we can consequently have cameras here at all the Parks Board meetings so we know exactly what's going on, and then we can go back and consequently review it, and then there will be no hidden agendas of any of these individuals or interpretations by any other people. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a few questions, if I may, for the representatives before I open it up to my colleagues in light of some of the public comments and questions that we received. I want to start off first with our city attorney that's acting for us. There were some questions or some concerns raised about the authority that's given to our park board members in comparison to other jurisdictions or other municipalities. I think that I would presume that's because we have different language within our charter, but I would like you, if it's possible, to explain or respond to that concern.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Dustin Kamek from the Law Department is the lawyer who is our liaison, and I think can speak to some of that.
I saw him hustling up here. Thank you, Dustin. I'll give you a second to get situated. And my question is simply if you could respond to the concerns about our municipality and the extent of our authority that we grant to our Parks Board. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Members of the committee, with respect to what does the Parks and Recreation Board do and what is its authority, that is all spelled out in the city charter. In the city charter, as a charter city, the city of Phoenix has a lot of leeway in terms of things that we do that are not matters of statewide concern. And so the charter has, since 1971, has established the Parks and Recreation Board and has given it specific authority to do specific things. I won't go through all of them, but with respect to things like establishing rules within the preserves or the parks, those are specifically provided so it's chapter 23 of the city charter, section 2. And And then paragraph 2 says that the Parks Board has the powers and duties to establish operating policies for recreational facilities and services within and without the city as the developing public recreation needs may require. So that is one thing that is frequently brought up there. The board has other powers and duties, including entering contracts to grant concessions, making recommendations to the city council with respect to acquisition of mountain preserve property, and then also making recommendations to the city council with respect to some of the activities or rules or uses of the mountain preserve property, mountain preserve areas. That is also laid out in chapter 26 of the city charter as it relates to mountain preserves. Additionally, the charter gives the city council the authority to grant other responsibilities or duties to the Parks Board, and the City Council has elected to do that in one case, which is found in City Code Section 2-208. It's paragraph 7, which permits gives the Parks and Recreation Board the powers and duties to designate areas in each park and the mountain preserves as open or closed to public use, and then proceeds to give additional guidance on how that power should be exercised.
If I may, I thank you for the articulating the detail in which the level of authority. My question, I apologize if I was not as clear, but I just wanted to say, I guess my question was, the differences between the authority granted to the Phoenix Parks and Recreation Board when compared to other municipalities or other cities would have to look to the actual document that gives them that authority, whether or not it's the city charter in the city of Phoenix or another instrument in another organization.
Correct. So other charter cities, that may be something that is in their charter may allow them to create a Parks and Recreation Board. Non-charter cities, I believe, are subject to certain state statutes, which, to be honest with you, I do not know what they are, because as a charter city, we are not subject to them. And so that source of authority would be the charter, and so we can only look at our charter, and other charter cities would have, distinct things that their voters have. Right.
You've answered the question, and I think the other part of it is that this was specifically, as mentioned in the presentation, the charter authority that our Parks Board was specifically adopted by our voters in 1971. So the language that we are looking at right now is based on what our voters recommended. Another jurisdiction may have a different language because they have different procedures. That's
absolutely correct.
Perfect. My colleague, Councilwoman Pastor, has a question.
I do. And I probably won't go into all the details till later. You said that we give recommendations of what the charter, or what we give recommendations to the board of what they can do.
So the charter grants directly certain powers and duties to the board, and some of them are to make recommendations to the city council.
Okay.
Other powers and duties are for the board to act more or less independently. So it's generally the first half of the duties that are in the charter are independent powers, and then the second half generally are recommendation powers.
Okay. So can I
go ahead?
I think we need to make it clear, and I actually think we probably should have an item to talk about these things. Because then I want to get into the details, and so I don't think this is the appropriate time to get into the details. But I would like to know what authority the Parks Board has or has been given by the charter. You don't have to answer it today. And this was in 1971 by the voters. So I'm going to make a big assumption, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. If the charter wants to be changed or needs to be changed, then it goes back to the voters?
Yes, that is accurate. So any charter amendment would need to be approved by the voters.
Okay. And then we have some authority to change some of the items that we have given them authority to.
Correct.
Okay.
As a city council, if that's
okay.
what you mean. Yes,
that's what I just needed to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. The only other question I have is I wanted a little more clarification. We mentioned, Director Aguilar, you mentioned during your presentation of the audit that was conducted of the 3PI funds. Could you expand on that a little further?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, each year the committee meets to review the report that is provided by the independent auditor. They do an evaluation. They take a sample of the projects that were funded with 3PI funds. So, for example, this past fiscal year's funds, they sampled 70% of our total expenditures of money that was used with 3PI funds. And they found that all were in compliance with the ballot language as approved by voters and how 3PI funds should be used. So they call it an A+ rating, which says that we were in compliance. And ultimately, that is the committee's opportunity to ask questions of the third-party independent auditor that attends that meeting as well. And then essentially they approve their findings every year, typically in January or early February.
And the audit was just recently completed and shared with our community you said last month?
Yes,
and
Madam
at
Chair,
that
that's correct.
opportunity, the public had the opportunity, at that meeting, the public had the opportunity to ask any questions they may have concerning the audit findings. But based on what our auditor found is that we have an A+ rating for the use of our 3PI funds, correct?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Let me see if any of my other colleagues have any questions. Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You had asked a question regarding the authority conveyed by the city charter, which answered what I was going to ask. And so that was adopted by the people. So it's the people that have given the Parks and Rec the authority to act on their behalf. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, Councilman Galindo Avila, that's correct.
Okay. There was a comment made earlier about the fiasco with the fire department with regard to the hours. I don't see any merit at all in going after our firefighters. They act in the best interest of our city, saving lives, putting their own lives at risk. And to undermine them, to call them out, I find it deplorable and disgusting. I believe that we have to do everything we can to make it as safe as possible for every person, resident of Phoenix or visitor to Phoenix, as possible. And if it means that we've saved one life, that's worth it. Because I'm not here to put a price on each life that can be saved. Nor am I here to waste resources that we need for response times because we did not do the right thing when it's the heat of summer that is merciless on people and on animals. So I am completely disgusted by the emails that I've been receiving attacking firefighters for the work that they do. It's not right and it's not cool.
Thank you, Councilman. I'll give you the opportunity to respond. There was a survey that was being circulated regarding the summer trail closures based on my colleagues' comments. I believe that survey closed on February 9th. Can you articulate the next steps for us, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. The survey did recently close. That survey, we were directed to put a survey out to the community by the Parks and Recreation Board, really on two specific items of discussion that came from their October meeting. One was what we should use as the threshold to determine those trail closures. Currently, those trail closures are determined by National Weather Service issued heat warning days. There was discussion of if we should continue using that as a threshold or if we should move to a straight temperature. Those concerns came for many reasons, but some of which include having days that were well above 110, 113 when maybe the National Weather Service didn't issue a heat warning. And the discussion came amongst the Parks Board members, maybe the thought was to move to a temperature instead. The second item in that survey that was being evaluated was what the public felt should the appropriate trail closure hours be. So again, those trails are not closed entirely those full days when heat warnings are issued. As it stands now by the Parks Board's actions, Those trails are closed between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. on days when the National Weather Service issues the heat warning. So those were the two primary focal points in the survey. I know some people were hoping to see us ask whether or not we should even have the policy, but that was not the direction of the board. The board really only wanted feedback on those two items. Next steps, Councilwoman and Madam Chair, would be that this information is going to the Parks Board for further discussion and work study next Thursday. We are putting together the survey results now, and that information will be shared at that meeting, and we will also make sure to share it with you as well.
Thank you so much for that response and that clarification as to the next steps. And then my last comment is more directed to our Deputy City Manager, Mario. We heard some concerns about the Parks Board's meeting not being recorded or televised. Can we look into the process or the steps necessary to see if that can be effectuated? That would be helpful.
Yes, we will look into that, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. If there are no other further questions from my colleagues, I will just again thank the Parks Department and all the representatives today for your presentation and your continued responsiveness to the community, whether that is, for example, incorporating the park ranger line, the master plan. You have made sure that it's so easy for residents to voice their concern, whether or not they want to make a phone call, whether or not send an email, they can log into the website. They can also do the dot board. I actually saw that live and in person, and I think that's really cool to see people vote in real time about what it is that we are offering. We also, I'm very excited, as mentioned, about the ADA playground, making sure that all of our residents, no matter their disability, are able to enjoy a safe and secure place. We are also, you've done a great job responding to the recreational needs of all Phoenicians, as evidenced by the testimony and the comments we heard today about the cricket fields and how we are expanding our opportunities here for our community. And I think it shows the history of us for doing that. We celebrated 100 years of stewardship of South Mountain Park and Preserve. So I just really wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you for all that you have done. And thank you for taking the time to present today for us. Thank you. Nope. So, I don't see any call to vote. I don't see any comments for public comment. Okay, perfect. So we don't have any members of the public to speak. So the next item would be, is there any future agenda items we would like to see added?
It's added. I would just like to get it onto an agenda. And it's a planning, growth, and a connectivity in the Central Avenue corridor.
So noted. Item numbers, you want to get that added to an agenda. Perfect. Anything else? If there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and call the adjourned meeting. Thank you.
Transported in the early 20th century. And it's a wonderful piece of architecture here in the southwest corner of the Garfield Historic District that we can all continue to enjoy here at Verde Park.
Welcome to Phoenix in about a minute. Today we're here in the